Cleveland Browns fans, you know the narrative all too well, right? Decades of uh, quarterback drama, that relentless carousel. It's a story many of you are just unfortunately familiar with.
It really is a tough history there.
But what if the next big hope, Shedeur Sanders, the promising young guy everyone's buzzing about, what if he isn't meant to step onto the field right away?
Interesting premise.
Yeah, today we're diving into this really compelling article that throws a surprising strategic curveball. It argues for sitting Shedeur Sanders for the first 4 games of the 2025 NFL season.
That is surprising because, the argument usually isn't about readiness or talent with a guy like him.
Exactly.
Instead, this article frames it as like a calculated chess move.
Yeah.
Purely for long-term impact.
Right.
Which immediately makes you ask, why?
Yeah.
Why would a team intentionally hold back such a high-profile investment, especially with all the hype?
And the article digs into exactly that, how this seemingly counterintuitive approach could actually solidify Sanders as the Browns' undeniable cornerstone QB for, the next decade.
Okay, so it's a long game strategy.
Precisely. And what's really key here is that the argument insists this isn't about Shedeur's talent. Not at all. It's the opposite, actually.
Gotcha.
It's about navigating what the source calls a too much talent, too many questions situation. Think about that QB room for a sec.
Okay, you've got Kenny Pickett, maybe Joe Flacco comes back again, Dylan Gabriel's in the mix.
And then Shedeur Sanders. If you throw Shedeur in too early, the argument goes you just invite, constant comparisons, overreactions, and the inevitable maybe it's too soon narratives.
Ah, I see. So the strategic play is let the others handle the initial chaos.
Basically, yeah. Let them take the early season bullets, The jitters, the rust, maybe some tough defenses, all that media heat.
That's a critical point. The goal then, as the article puts it, is for Sanders to step in later, is the clarity in the chaos.
Right. Not one of many. The one. Imagine that early season turbulence, maybe some struggles.
And then Shedeur arrives as the clear, undisputed answer, not just another option fighting for the job.
Exactly. Which leads right into this idea of protecting the investment.
Because Sanders isn't just any rookie, is he? He's a huge investment on the field, off the field.
Definitely. That NFL pedigree, the Deion Sanders connection, that elite media presence, it's a whole package.
And that kind of spotlight, it's intense. A poor start. Maybe the O-line is still gelling, or they face some really tough defensive schemes early on.
Yeah, the article really hammers this point. It can bruise a rookie's confidence, damage the narrative around him. It's not just the physical hits. It's the mental side, too.
Nobody wants their big investments stumbling right out of the gate. It can be hard to recover from that first impression.
True.
And that's where the history lesson comes in, right? The source mentions quarterbacks who sat first and then just exploded.
Yeah, like Aaron Rodgers, he waited 3 years.
3 whole years.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes, he didn't start until, week 7?
Yep, week 7. Or Lamar Jackson, he didn't start right away either, took over mid-season.
The common thread is letting that talent develop, letting the situation stabilize. The aim is to preserve his health, confidence, and mystery.
I like that phrase, preserve his mystery, because the article says, once you unwrap the gift, there's no going back.
Exactly. You need the right game plan, the right team chemistry in place before that big reveal. Make sure the stage is set for success.
It's funny, as fans, it feels wrong, doesn't it? We want the shiny new toy now.
Oh, absolutely. The impatience is real.
But this strategic patience, it allows for this other interesting angle the article brings up. Silence the doubters without lifting a finger.
Okay, explain that one. How does sit and silence doubters?
Well, think about the what if. If Sanders does start week 1 and they lose, the headlines are immediate, right? Was he worth the pick? Too much hype? Maybe he's not ready.
Yeah, the knives come out fast.
If Pickett or Flacco or whoever starts and they struggle,
then the questions completely flip.
Right. It becomes, why isn't Shedeur starting? Or when are they going to put Sanders in?
So sitting him actually shifts the pressure onto the other guys. That's pretty clever, actually. A neat bit of narrative control.
It allows the other QBs to sort of reveal their ceilings and their limits. It makes Shedeur's eventual takeover feel like destiny, not debate.
The article paints that picture vividly. Let Cleveland demand him. Let the media beg for him.
Yeah. And when he enters Game 5, he walks in as the savior, not the scapegoat.
Building that sense of inevitability, making his arrival feel preordained almost.
And that narrative building isn't just PR fluff. It's tied into real strategy, especially when you look at the schedule aspect. The point about a more favorable schedule awaits.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You probably don't want his first taste of NFL action to be against, like Baltimore's defense or Mahomes in the Chiefs.
Exactly. Avoid that early season grinder. The NFL season, it's a marathon, right? Not a sprint.
Mm-hmm. And by week 5, maybe some of those top defenses are a little banged up. There's more film out on their schemes.
It allows for that strategic timing. Let Shedeur's strengths, his preparation, his poise, that timing really shine.
He steps in when the probability of success is higher. Less learning under extreme fire, more executing when the situation is maybe a bit more settled.
The source uses a great analogy here. The Browns must think like chess masters. Control the board, wait for the right sacrifice, and strike with your queen at the perfect time.
Love that. It really emphasizes playing the long game, sacrificing a pawn or two early for the checkmate later.
And a huge piece of that long game, something maybe fans don't always see, is the locker room. The article makes a really strong case for let the locker room speak.
How does that work with him sitting?
Well, the point is, in the NFL, teammates often know who the guy is before the media does. They see it in practice, day in, day out. They feel the command.
Okay, so even if he's not starting games.
Exactly. Allowing Shedeur to just practice, prepare, and quietly dominate behind the scenes, that lets the locker room organically rally behind him. They see the talent, the work ethic, the leadership potential without the pressure of game days initially.
So it's about building that internal support structure first, that authentic respect.
Right, so that when it is finally Shedeur's time, the article says it'll be unanimous, not a gamble, but a coronation.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's framed not just as a player decision, but as a franchise culture move, establishing that unquestioned leader from within.
Ensuring everyone, top to bottom, is bought in when the switch happens. No doubts, no factions.
And speaking of unique factors, there's the whole Shedeur Sanders brand, isn't there? The article touches on the marketing power of mystery.
Yeah, this isn't your average rookie coming in under the radar. He's incredibly media ready. NIL deals, huge social following, the Delon factor.
It's massive. So sitting him actually builds the hype even more.
That's the argument. It builds anticipation like a box office blockbuster.
Okay, I can see that. By week 5, if the team isn't lighting it up, that hype train would be absolutely unstoppable.
Totally. The whole NFL watching, not just for what he'll do, but for how he'll take over.
It turns his debut into a major event, scripted perfectly, rather than just throwing him out there under pressure week 1 and hoping for the best. Maximize the impact on and off the field.
And then there are the warnings from the past. The article finishes strong with lessons from history, avoiding rookie burnout.
Ah, yes, the cautionary tales. You see this happen sometimes.
It mentions guys rushed too early, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, who got, thrown to the wolves in bad situations and really struggled to recover.
Right. Situations that maybe weren't set up for success. It can really derail a young quarterback's confidence and development.
And contrast that with quarterbacks who were better positioned for success before taking over. We mentioned Mahomes and Lamar. The source even brings up Brock Purdy as someone who stepped into a good situation.
It's about the environment as much as the talent sometimes.
Exactly. And the source concludes this bit with a really clear statement. This isn't about fear. It's about preparation.
Preparation. So if you believe Shedeur Sanders is the guy, the future, gambling on a shaky first impression just isn't worth the risk.
Especially when you can theoretically unveil that greatness on your own terms with the team, the fans, everyone fully behind him.
Okay, so summing it up, despite that natural fan impulse to see him play immediately.
Yeah, despite that temptation, this deep dive into the source material really lays out a clear, pretty compelling case. Sitting Shedeur Sanders for those first 4 games is argued as the wisest move Cleveland could make.
A patient play. Calculated, aiming for long-term dominance, setting him up for that undeniable, universally embraced arrival.
Yeah.
And if you connect the dots, look at the bigger picture here. This isn't just about one player's debut. It's presented as a whole organizational strategy.
How so?
It's about deliberately building towards an unquestioned leader, creating a stable, sustainable future for the entire franchise. Let the other guys show they aren't the long-term answer.
Let the locker room build consensus.
Yeah.
Let the fans and media start clamoring for him.
Exactly. So that, as the source puts it, when Shedeur Sanders finally takes that field, it shouldn't be with pressure to prove anything. It should be with the understanding that there's no one else it could ever be.
Wow. That's quite a strategy, this whole idea of a delayed debut for maximum impact, building the anticipation, setting the perfect stage. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. A different way of thinking about rookie development.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it?
What?
What's strategic sitting in your own life or maybe in business could ultimately lead to a more powerful, more undeniable takeover moment down the line, something to mull over.